Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today I am making a free pattern that is super easy, super beginner friendly, and ends up super cute. It's so quick and anyone can do it. So let's get started. This pattern is called the Chloe skirt pattern, and this is from Made for Mermaids. If you want this pattern, I'm going to attach a link so you can go grab this pattern below, and it is free, and they have a kids version and an adult version, I think even adult version. This pattern includes the knee length skirt and a full length skirt. It's got a yoga waistband. You can choose to make just a simple waistband, or you could choose to make a fold over waistband. So that's up to you. Today I'm going to be using a double brush poly. This pattern calls for a knit or stretch fabric. So this is what I'm using. It's got really nice stretch. And you will have to use either a sewing machine on a stretch stitch, so like a zigzag stitch, a lightning bolt stitch, something like that, or use your serger. I will be using my serger, but honestly you can do this completely on a sewing machine. The reason why you have to use a stretch stitch is because the knit this stretchy fabric stretches, and if you use a straight stitch on your sewing machine, as soon as this stretches, the stitches are gonna pop. You don't want any stitches. You don't want any stitches popping while you're wearing your skirt. I sure would not want that. But, so yeah, super easy. So let's get started. Did I already said let's get started? I think I did. We'll start by cutting the fabric. So I already have my pattern cut out, but honestly, it is super easy to print out. If you are worried about PDF patterns, don't worry about it. They are so easy. Once you get to the website and you click and you actually create an account, and this is for most PDF patterns, you can go to the website and download that free pattern right onto your laptop or your computer, and you download it on Adobe Reader. You can use the free version, that works just as fine. And then the really cool thing is most patterns nowadays have a layer feature, which can be used on Adobe Reader, and on the side it gives you all the different sizes. So on the pattern itself, on the instruction of the pattern, you should have a size chart where you can measure yourself and figure out what size you want to make, and then you drop that menu down, whatever, and you find your correct size, and then you eliminate all the other ones, and then you end up just printing your size, which makes it so much easier. And this pattern has that option. It also has an option to print it on a projector. So if you had a projector that could reflect to your sewing area, you can print it that way as well. I mean, there's a couple different options to do it. I just printed it at home, and it really isn't even that many pages, and I went ahead and taped it together. I cut my pattern in half. I'm gonna tell you why in a minute, but then I just pieced them together side by side, and I have my pattern all together. So that was really, really quick. And that was a great thing about this pattern. If you're a new sewist and you want to try your hand at this is super simple and super easy to do. So I'm going to grab my fabric, and we're going to start by cutting it and folding it in half, because I want this pattern says to be called on the fold, which means that this fold right here, the half of my fabric where I folded it, that's where we're going to place that label where it says fold. And I want to make sure that my fabric is all the way to the side and that my skirt is gonna fit. See that? Right there it fits. I don't know if you can see it, but it should fit. Now the reason why I have this cut right here, this is a full pattern. It goes all the way down this way. I cut it here because most patterns are made for like a 5'5" height, and I am taller than 5'5", so I had to add a little bit of height so that the skirt wouldn't be too short on me. And I am actually wearing the skirt I made already out of this, and I'll show it to you a little bit later. But on this occasion, I want to make a midi skirt. So the really neat thing about PDF patterns is that you can do things with them and change them and make them your own. So I'm gonna make my own by changing this. It doesn't have an option for a midi length, but I am going to hack it into being a midi length. The option that it comes with is the knee length, which is right here, and then the maxi length, which is down at the bottom, obviously. So I'm gonna place my pattern over, and then I have to decide how long I want my skirt to be. This is a midi. I did not measure myself. I'm gonna make a midi, but I didn't measure myself because that's how I roll. But I'm just gonna place them together, and what I'm going to do, because I don't have to add length since it's gonna be a midi, I already am gonna know. I want it somewhere between my knee length and the maxi skirt. So we're gonna go to like right here, which might end up being calf length. So then once I do my hem, I wanna account for my hem, it will be like midi length, I'm assuming, I'm hoping, crossing my fingers. And if it doesn't work, then we'll just cut it all the way up to be a short length. So now this one has a curved, as you can see, kind of curves a little bit. So when I cut it, I want to kind of do a little curve as well. Let me see, it goes from here down to like a little curve. So what you can do is use this as your bottom and kind of do that little curve, or just kind of you yourself figure out how to do the little curve as you're cutting. Now, if you're doing a straight one, a maxi or a knee length, you don't even have to worry about that. I'm just being extra right now. So now I'm cutting one piece, and I have to cut two of these. So I'm gonna cut two of these exact same pieces. Now I wanted to tell you something else right now. If you wanted the skirt, so if you can see it, the skirt is pretty much straight, as a straight skirt, as a maxi. If you want it to be a little bit more gathered, what I would do is I would size up on the skirt. So like, let's say I fit into whatever size you fit into, I would maybe go up 2 sizes on the actual skirt, but keep the waistband, when I make the waistband, I'm gonna show you in a minute, keep the waistband your size. So that way, your skirt would kind of gather into your waistband. So when you sew it on, when you sew the waistband to the skirt, you kind of gathered that skirt, but then it has a little bit more flow. Another thing that someone mentioned before when I made this pattern, somebody asked me, what about making it with a non-stretch fabric? And I would say that this pattern has enough give. I haven't tried it yet, so don't quote me on this. I think it has enough give, like it's wide enough at the hips, that you could probably get away with using a light woven, like a very light fabric to use your main piece. But for your waistband, you definitely want it to be a knit, or you're gonna have to add elastic or something in it instead of doing the waistband to keep it, to tighten it up and keep it on you so it doesn't just fall off. So let's finish cutting. All right, now we are done cutting the actual skirt. In the pattern itself, there is a cutting chart for the waistband. So we're gonna use that cutting chart and cut our waistband. Now remember, your waistband has to be cut on the stretch. So make sure that your fabric is going the right way. This is the way my fabric stretches, so that's how I'm going to cut it. All right, now we get to sewing. We're gonna grab our waistband and we're gonna fold it wrong sides together, and we're gonna sew that short edge right sides together to prepare our waistband. Then we're gonna grab our two pieces, or two skirt pattern pieces, and we're gonna lay them out, one right side up and the other one right side down, right on top of it, so right sides together. We'll put those side seams together. Hey, while we are clipping this together, let me remind you to subscribe to my channel. I will be adding more videos this year. That is one of my New Year's resolutions, is to make sure that I add more sewing videos to this channel. And one of the things that I'm super excited about, I love doing, is sewing up free patterns, because we all know we are sewing on a budget and we want to find all these cute free patterns. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the new free patterns that I will be sewing up here in the next little bit. And also I want to be doing some more tips and things like that, and answer some questions that you may have about sewing. So comment below and let me know what are some things that you want to see and what are some questions that you have when it comes to sewing, and I might get to those next video. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and sew that right sides together all the way down, and the band, so both of them. Now if you wanted to do slits like I did on my last skirt, you would only have to make sure to see how high you want that slit and stop sewing about 1 inch before then, and then you would finish up with a straight stitch flip it open and top stitch that seam allowance down. It's a little bit more involved. I might go over that next time with another pattern or just show you how to do that really easily. So let's go ahead and sew that. Yeah, I'm trying to think, there was something else I was gonna tell, but I think that's it. Let's go sew it. All right, friends, we're almost done. Now, the beauty of knit fabric, this stretchy fabric, is that a lot of times, if you don't feel like it, you don't even have to hem. It does not ravel like woven fabrics do. And so if you left it raw, it's not gonna come apart. It would be just fine. So this would be up to you. Sometimes I like to try something on, and if it's the perfect length and it looks fine without it being hemmed, I just leave it because that's just what I like to do, and that's my business. So if you want to do that, I won't tell anyone, don't worry about it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab our waistband and we're going to fold it in half, wrong sides together at that raw edge. And now I'm doing the regular, so I'm not using a fold over, but if you're doing a fold over, it's exactly the same way, except for it's going to be a little bit longer, wider. Because then you're gonna have that extra piece to fold down. And once you folded it wrong sides together, we're gonna match this seam right here. This is my seam where I sewed it together. And we're gonna go to the front, from that seam to the front, and that's gonna be my half. Oop. Trying to get them even. This fabric does not want to cooperate. Get it together. Okay, I like to use scissors and do a little snip right there. You don't have to if you don't want to, but that helps me later. Like if I remove my pin or my clip and I don't know where my quarter is, I know I now have a mark on there, and it's small enough that it will get eaten by your seam allowance, so you won't even be able to see it. And then now we match the front and the back. I match them together at the clips and then go to the sides. And those are my quarters, my side seams. My sides. We quarter because that way we can put this band on evenly and it's not like tight in the front, loose in the back or whatever. So quartering just really, really helps with that. If you have a band that's really big and you're like, oh, that's a lot of fabric, you can do more than quarter. You can even match these two and get another piece right there. What would that be, eighths? I don't know math. I better just be quiet because then I'm gonna show how unknowing of math I am. Unknowing of math. I don't know English either, I guess. All right, then I'm gonna do the same to my skirt. I'm gonna match up those side seams. I'm gonna go to the front and mark it, and then go to the back and do the same thing. Mark it, and then I'm going to match all those quarter points together. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna match them right sides together. I'm leaving that seam to the back. There's no front and back to this skirt because it's both sides where the front and the back were both cut on the same pattern piece. But that just means that where that line is, where your seam is on your waistband, that will be your back. And if you wanted to add a tag or something like that, you could. I don't add tags to my sewn things because I don't like the feeling of tags. And so I never do. But if you were gonna give it to someone and you wanted to add a tag, that will be your back. All right, so now we're gonna go over to my sewing machine or my serger. I'm gonna do my serger and sew it. So what you do is you're gonna stretch that band to fit that skirt like so. And that will bring the skirt in when you're gonna wear it skirt into your waist. Now, while we're over there, you can go ahead and hem your skirt at the same time. This pattern calls for a 1/2 inch hem allowance. So you would fold it a 1/2 inch up, steam it, and then go over and give it a stitch. It is not tight at the bottom. So if you didn't have a cover stitch, which is what I'm gonna use, that kind of looks like a serger, but it's not a serger, it's a cover stitch. If you didn't have a cover stitch, you can use a straight stitch on your sewing machine because you're not going to be pulling on that hem. If you pulled on it, it will grip, but if you don't pull on it, it'll be just fine. I've done that many times in the past. Don't tell anyone I told you so because it's not the correct way, but it will work. So let's go sew this up and we are basically done. You see how I am tugging at it lightly so that it fits my skirt. All right, my friends, we're basically finished. We just have to hem, but I like to try it on before I hem it, especially because we just kind of cut it at whatever length we thought was going to be the great length for midi, but I'm not really sure. But before I do that, I wanted to show you, this is the maxi length skirt that I did. I'm wearing my slippers. Let me get those out of the way. And I did leave a slit so that it has a side slit. I think it's super comfy and super cute. This one I did in a bamboo fabric, so it's super thin and super comfy. So let me go try that one on, and then we'll hem it and we'll be done. All right, the skirt fit and the length was great. So we're going to go ahead and fold that 1/2 inch and hem. Again, I'm going to be using my cover stitch. It looks like a serger, but it's not. It's a machine that is specifically made for sewing hems. So that's what I'm going to be using, but you could either leave it raw or you could use your sewing machine if you do not have a cover stitch. All right, friends, we are done. How cute did this turn out? I love it. I love the length. I think this fabric is perfect for this style of skirt. I am loving it. I am pairing it right now with a cowled sweater that I made, but also with like a loose t-shirt or something like that would be great. This is Bo. He just wants to say hello. Hi, Bo. Okay, and I love it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please comment, like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see all the other patterns I'm going to be showing, and you can see more of Bo as well, because I know you want to see him more because he is adorable. And then he's saying hello. And then come find me on my Instagrams, Eloise.Ezra on Instagram, and I would add a link to that on the comments below, on the information place box thing below, so you can come find me. Go sew this skirt up with me. It is super easy. If you have not started sewing yet, this is the perfect project. The perfect project for you to start with. I'm sorry, I can't speak today. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.